Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yay!
Um, I reached out to you. I think it was, well, first of all, let me start off by saying thank you so much for taking the time out of your, I'm sure, busy schedule to
Okay.
be able to sit down with me and just answer a couple questions and let me pick your brain a little bit. My name is Cecilia Figueroa, and I currently am a student at Valencia. I'm going to Valencia for my general arts degree in order for me to then transfer to UCF, to Rosen for my event management degree.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so this is something that I've always wanted to do. I've done this for work, at my previous job, with like more of like political events. And
Hmm.
then I've always been that girl that my friends and my families have um, called to help them with parties and organizing stuff and things like that. So I decided that in May of last year, which, we tend to have these epiphanies during the
Yeah.
greatest times, that I should start an event design business in the middle of a pandemic. Yay! So I did do that, and so I decided to um do that, and hopefully, with the pandemic, this is now my schooling is now my number one um focus right now, until I get my degree, and hopefully I, make my dream of my event business come true. So with that, I have gone through, social media and things like that, and I came across your I think it was like an inspirational um post that you put about,
Yeah.
being able to focus or getting underpaid or something like that. And I was like, and I listened to it, and I was like, yes, this is so true. This is so like so relevant. And so I, have followed you along that road, and subscribed to your channel. And it's really it's a beautiful thing to see your talent, and the fact that you're able, or that you want to share what you know and your knowledge, and your experience to others that want to know. So once again, I thank you, and
Yay.
I'm glad that you opened up your schedule for me.
Oh, yeah, of course. I appreciate you reaching out. So I was like, why not? Let's do this.
Great. So I just wanted to go through. I know that we had emailed back and forth with some just like intro questions, as far as like, how long have you been in the business and things like that. But I just wanted to probably maybe pick your brain on some other questions
Oh,
to
yeah,
kind
that's
of
fine.
get your idea on stuff. So how did you come up with the name?
Oh, that's a good question. So it's funny because I used to be a former teacher of the classroom, and I taught for 5 years. And within those 5 years of teaching, I it's not that I didn't love teaching, it's just that the politics behind everything that's going on in the teaching world, everybody knows this is the case throughout the world, wasn't fulfilling. And for me, since I was a young girl, I've always loved to help other people, um, even when I was scared of everyone. So I was like, let me come up, I need an creative outlet. So I created my YouTube channel, but coming up with the name was probably the most challenging because I told my husband it has to be something with designs because I didn't know specifically what direction I was going in. I was doing a lot of DIY projects, organizing. I didn't know where I was going with the channel. So I wanted to make sure it was a little broad. So I knew designs was part of that name. Then I was just like, I always wanted to be an inspiration to others. So I wanted to incorporate that particular feeling with the title. So then I was searching, like there's like name generators and business names to come up with. And I was just searching. I was like, why don't I just put inspiring designs? Like I can teach to be inspired, but through my creative work and what I'm learning, and then I'm sharing with others. So it was inspiring designs. Then one day I was waking up as I was creating all of the back end, seeing if it's available. It just didn't sit well. I was like, there's just something missing. And I didn't know what it was. So then I was just like, why not let it be like it's my world. It's what I get to teach, because in the teaching world, we weren't allowed to do so. We were kind of being taught what to teach. So it's like, I wanted to take ownership over what I was doing for other people. So then I put the my in front of it because I was searching. I was like, the inspiring designs. I was like, nah, that's too like out there,
Broad,
and
yeah.
like there's no connection. So then when I put the word my, it became ownership for what I wanted to do and how I wanted to teach it. And it's up from there. 4 years, 4.5 years later, we're here with my inspiring designs. It's still
Oh,
came
wow.
about.
That is so cool. That's so interesting because that is such a big part of the business, right? Because you're thinking about, okay, what is, not only do you want to have something that's gonna be able to be catchy, we get so caught up on everything else that you're like, man, it doesn't become personal because you're so, what you're wondering about what is going to what's going to captivate the audience, what's going to bring them in, instead of thinking about, well, my talent should be able to do that, right? Or what I'm trying to offer should be able
Mhm.
to do that. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
um so I do see that you had, okay, so I know that in the questions, you, and from following you, you do have a balloon business, which, by the way, I commend you 300,000%. I am, I don't want, I'm realizing that I, to be an event designer, not everything has to do with balloons, but
Right.
there's a lot of things with balloons.
Right.
And a, I'm scared to say this, but I have PTSD when it comes to
Oh.
popping, like the popping sound and stuff. So I never deal with it. But then I'm like, man, how do I, like, face something, one of my fears, you know what I mean, that's incorporated in the business. So that was going to lead into my next question. Like, do you have anything that you probably either shied away from, or something that you're just reluctant to do because of your personal views, or any other, views, but it's something that the client wants? Or how do you move past that?
So that's a really good question, because balloons used to make me feel insecure, even to this day, because I take very, like, I put my heart into my designs, and so when I'm critiqued or when someone doesn't like it, it kind of fuels that insecurity and just being confident in your designs. However, to answer your question, when it comes down to it, I have taught, I when I first started, I started with anything and everything. That's why my inspiring designs, instead of it being balloons, was incorporated into my YouTube channel. I didn't know I was going to do balloons when I first started, but I used to do it all. I used to do organization. I used to do the entire event. I used to do treats and getting connected. Like I was like kind of like that event planner. But to capitalize on my strengths wasn't planning. Like I actually suck at it. Every time we go on family trips, I'm like, it's not me who plans. Then they know this, right? I'm the person who's I can decorate and show up, but I cannot plan things out. It's just not a strength of me. So I would say, like, if somebody was like struggling with that, it's just to incorporate where your strengths are, right? And capitalize your business on that, because one, it makes it more enjoyable. And then two, when it comes down to deciding what direction of your business is going, it makes it a lot easier to get clients because you're solving one problem. So I chose balloons because one, it was something people were willing to pay. And then two, when it comes down to my business, it was easier to get clients. Now, when clients come up to me and they're like, oh, well, do you do this? I actually tell them no, but I actually have maybe a list of people that possibly can help them, because I rather focus on one thing and master it and then expand later with a team or help. Because I used to do entire events, and that was something I had to kind of say no to because it was so time consuming. And if you don't have a team right away, it's literally impossible to do. So when clients are like, oh, do you have like tablecloths or do you do this? It's just like, no, I stuck to just customized backdrops and balloons. That's more than enough time to get me, into a business where it makes money and to serve my clients who can't do that particular thing. And then I would say too, is just like leaving room for other people to grow in the business as well with you would be ideal. Like I don't have to do everything and take from everybody's business. Like there are people out there who do better, have a linens, right? They're just fully linens for the event space. Why not bring them upon my vendor list so that way I'm able to then give them business as I'm growing and vice versa. So it creates a great partnership when you're able to distinguish yourself in one focal area. And then if not, if you're doing it all, bringing people in part of that team so they can make money as well. That's usually helps me kind of say like no to the things that people ask me for and yes to the things that I'm actually good at. I hope
That
that answered your question.
Yes, it did. That totally it really does make sense because designing, right, or planning, I've always thought what I've wanted to do is to be able to be the one-stop shop. I don't know if I I'm such a dreamer, but dreaming is good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen that movie with Jennifer Lopez. I think she's the wedding planner and she has
Yeah.
like the little microphone and she's like, she has the little thing. That's how, I mean, I think huge like that. I'm like, yeah, I want to be the one that has like the little alcohol swabs or whatever, but I want to be the one-stop shop,
Hmm.
you know, but I do know that I don't have all of that.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But there is, a vendor list and things like that, but just to be able to kind of, because you don't want to say no, I can't do this. But then to, I guess, outsource it, right?
Hmm.
To maybe someone else and things like that. So yeah, I think that's pretty good way to handle it. I'm hoping to go into, I'm gonna face my fears and push through because I think once I do that, then anything else that comes my way, I could probably handle.
And before we close out on this question, there's a book called The One Thing, which is by Gary W. Keller, and I just looked it up, Jay Papasan. The One Thing talks about having like a one, like people who have made it in the industry of business, they have literally focused on one particular thing to get known for, and then that you're able to master and grow a lot faster. So when we think of Starbucks, right, we think of coffee, but does Starbucks only sell coffee? No, right? They have food, they have other drinks, they have non-coffee drinks, right? And they created a business around that idea of like getting known for that coffee to pull people in and then showcasing what else you have to offer. So a lot of people don't realize that when it comes down to, they want to do the ones. I used to do that. I used to be like, oh, I want to rent a venue. I want to be the one-stop shop. But then it's just like, it's hard to capitalize on that because even the one-stop shop venues are known for a venue, right? They're the venue that you want to go to. And then when you come in now, they upsell on all the things that they have to offer, right? And even if they don't, right, they probably have other vendors that, again, that they partner with that have done really well job. Like I know there's a venue here. Oh, you're in Florida, the Crystal Ballroom.
Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes down to the Crystal Ballroom, they may offer like decor and chairs and stuff like that. But what if you want real flowers? What if you want a different caterer? You know what I mean? Like these are the things you have to consider. Like the Crystal Ballroom is known for being a venue. And then when clients come in, now they upsell them on the things that they have to offer. So always think of that first. I always tell my designers in my coaching program, I was just like, just don't think that you can't be that one-stop shop, but your business has to, what is the front-facing marketing of your business? And then capitalize on that because then you're solving one problem for people and you're not confusing them what you do.
I guess then that would be kind of a searching of what that one thing would be for each individual person,
Mhm.
and figuring
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah,
It's a lot
and
to think
even
about.
event planners too, they get known for one thing. Like one of my mentors, she was a wedding planner, but her thing was floral design. Like she was just known for her floral arrangements. And I mean, she completely is now running like a $250,000 business. So back then, 6 years ago, she saw that vision. But that was her strength. That was what she knows. She was a wedding planner, right? That's what pulled people in. What upsell people is her floral designs. They were so immaculate. And she spent a lot of money and time into mastering that skill. So that's what it is. It's like everyone who makes it seems to focus on that thing that they're good at, and that's what
And
draws
then,
people in, and then you capitalize that and keep re-showing that. So it's kind of like a momentum that you're creating.
thank you. That's a
You're
great nugget.
welcome.
Um, okay, so how do you feel about goals and vision boards?
Mm. So
Because
I'm gonna talk briefly. Like, okay, so I am a goal oriented. I learned this in therapy. I'm a goal oriented person, right? Give me a task and I can complete it, but don't tell me to come up. Like, I can come up with my own goals. The problem is with goals, right? Is that we set them too broad and too big. And that's the one thing I don't like, right? Being a teacher, even students and adults digest information in a very small amount versus a big chunk, right? So you're not going to go to a physics class and learn the entire curriculum in one day, right? You're going to go every week to learn a little more, a little more, a little more. That's how we have to take goals. It's like the goal is the overarching where you want the outcome to be, right? But what's really important is the micro steps that you do to get to that goal. And I mean small, like, all right, I spend 30 minutes on just coming up with a business name, and that's all I'm going to focus on. And then once I accomplish that, then I'll, look up, I'll do a social media versus like, I want to run a business. And it's just like, okay, that's great. But be mindful that that goal, because you'll get disappointed and then you'll be unmotivated and you won't want to do it, because as humans, we love to accomplish things. We love to feel accomplished. We actually love to grow and feel uncomfortable. A lot of people don't know that, right? The reason why people are bored or depressed is because they're not goal driven. There's no action steps towards where they want to see themselves. Vision boards can also be detrimental because I've had them, I've done them every year, except for the last 2 or 3 years, because my vision board again was so big. Like, I want to own a beach house, I want to own a venue, I want to be the top party designer in Central Florida. And it's just like these were too big that I never accomplished them. So they can create a very disappointing feeling. So, again, for any vision or goals, I would just put them on a smaller scale, right? Because when you accomplish that one small thing, it feels so good and you're willing to then take another step and then accomplish something else, because the more accomplished you feel, the more likely you continue to take action. Which is why, like, and again, in college you'll get small assignments. I mean, they seem big, but you'll get like, versus like looking at the whole entire semester and you're like, oh my goodness, I have to do all this. Like, no, we're just going to work on this week, focus on what we're going to work on this week. And that's how goals and vision boards should be treated.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, um, how do you how do you combat obstacles or questioning yourself throughout your time in your business?
These are good questions.
I
These are
thought of
great
these
questions.
questions because those were things that my professor was like, there could be just broad questions like
Mhm.
what you normally ask, but then if you're doing an interview, it's because it's basically to make sure that everybody's interviewing whomever and someone in their field that they want to go to. So you want to
Mm,
ask these questions. I'm going to ask you these questions because you're in the field that I want to go into. So I want to be able to say, okay, you're successful at what you do. I want to
mhm,
know why you're successful at what you do, and just be able to understand like where maybe some of the things that I may or may not see myself in the future, and be able to answer those questions. So thank you. I took a little bit of time to kind of like
yeah,
figure
I
out.
love them. It really makes you think. So what do I do when, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question
Yes.
again?
How do you combat obstacles or questioning yourself throughout your time in business?
Okay, so how do I combat obstacles?
or
One,
questioning yourself
and questioning
or
myself,
questioning yourself.
or questioning myself. Okay, so that, because that can be an obstacle. So when it comes to, I think no matter where you are in your journey, what I'm learning, right, even after 4 years of being in this, like I told you in the beginning, is like I still get into my own head, right? In fact, actually, I'll talk about that. Yeah, last night I started to realize that I was going into a comparison versus an inspiration when it comes to looking at where other people are. So one thing I will say to combat any obstacle, especially with your mindset as being an entrepreneur, is knowing that there will always be someone better, right? There will always be someone better, someone who does doing something you thought of. And once you're okay with that, to knowing that you're on your own journey and your own path, it makes it a little easier. Another thing that I tend to do is like try to, it's going to sound crazy, but try to get outside of yourself, right? So when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling like you're never going to get ahead, like there's something always like in your way or whatever, when it comes to challenges like that, is just to recognize like, where is this feeling really stemming from? Right? Like just kind of pausing that spiral as much as you can. Because even with me, sometimes I have to tell my husband or a partner that like, hey, when I'm acting like this, I need you to pull me out. Like help me just stop the spiraling, right? And if you have no one, right, starting the day with something positive versus jumping on social media in your industry and just looking at what other people are doing can save you a lot of headaches in the long run, right? The way we start our day is the way it ends. And I'm a true believer of that. So, one, positive, positive, positive in the morning. I always listen to things outside of my industry. So, like, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll listen to a YouTube channel. Steve Harvey seems to be like my go-to now. Like, and he's so inspirational because he puts, God in his speeches and stuff like that. Or I'll listen to something more faith-based, just to like when I'm getting ready, just to have that in my aura. When in the moments of obstacles and challenges, it's just to understand what is really going on, right? How is this going to benefit me in the long run? And once you're able to like sit with that and just have that question, like, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me, right? Where's the good in it? Because when you refocus into something positive versus spiraling and going down that negative hole, you'll become that problem solver. So I always tell my designers, CEOs and entrepreneurs are problem solvers. You're here to solve a problem. So when a problem erupts in your business, you have to now go through the solutions of how to solve the problem, right? You have to be a problem solver into running a business, because you will always come up with problems, and you have to be quick with it as you continue to develop. Because if you have a team now, right, and they have a problem, you have to kind of help them and guide them too. But in order to guide someone else, you have to do it within yourself. So that's why I said, like, trying to come outside of yourself to then say, hey, what's the problem, what is the solutions, and let's try to execute that, and try not to be so emotionally involved in it, even though sometimes it does. However, if it's a mindset within you and it's personal, put the business aside for some time, take a walk. That's helped me. Move your body, spend time with family and friends, and really be present. Because when you're present, you're more joyful. And then when you're more joyful, the future will come into, I think it works in your favor. That's just on me. That's just the way I kind of handle things. I don't try not to let them get it. But I've been in a space where I've been very depressed. And one is that you have to recognize it's an identity change too. So whatever served you at this point won't serve you where you want to go, right? So you're probably going to get these obstacles to shed that old self, so that way a new one can be created in the future, right? You want to be that one-stop shop entrepreneur. Well, that one-stop shop entrepreneur is not doing what you're doing today, right? So that means whatever your patterns are today, it has to change for the tomorrow that you want to come into fruition.
That's so good. I'm like,
Thank you.
ooh, I'm like, just
I'm glad you recorded it so you can just re-listen to it.
yes. This is probably gonna be one of those things that I'm like, today is not the day. Let me put on Justine.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad.
Okay. Um, so I know that you mentioned about, what it is that you would like to do. Do you think of expanding? Is that
Oh
something
yeah.
that you would want to do?
Oh yes, yes. So I'm just like you. I'm all in the I see myself future. Actually, it's called the visionary entrepreneur.
Okay.
They're the ones who always see the ideas in the future. So yes, expansion is probably, I wish I was there already because I was already a hiring manager for my other job. I oversaw like 20 people one year and then 9, 10 people the other year. But the values and lessons that I learned from that leadership role was like, there's so much power in collaboration and in a team than it is by yourself as a solopreneur. So expanding the team is definitely, but I didn't know if you meant like people wise or business wise.
I was thinking, well, I was thinking business wise.
Business. So for me, when it comes to my overall business, yes, there's big goals that I have. One, to have a balloon business, but to also be known for a party styling business. I would love to one offer a coffee shop where it's very inspiring. So like to give, because I'm more productive in coffee shops. I don't know what it is about a coffee shop, but like I get into the zone at Starbucks or local coffee shops. I'm like on a mission, and now all my family, they be sending me places. So I'm like, I'm on a mission. So eventually to open up an inspirational coffee shop, right? That's what's going to stand out from me from the local ones here. I would also love to own a venue for a one-stop shop, but really just a place for people to, celebrate their milestones, whether they book us or not. And then, oh, my legacy project. So, my legacy project, right after all those businesses are now built and I'm really comfortable, I want to turn this into a passion project or legacy project where I build my own school. So,
Oh,
a school that's designed with building out not just entrepreneurs, but innovative thinkers that are game changers for the world, right? Because I want to give a space not just for kids to develop into what I would love for a school to be, but to give an opportunity for teachers to teach the way they want and desire that is meant on a human design model versus a robot.
ah,
So that's, and I would love to like create a K through 12 school because by college, that's more innovative anyway. So there's no need for it, but there's a need for like, if I could build a K through entire, like you go from elementary, middle school, high school, and then you funnel into your career or college. That's what I want.
how
That's my legacy
awesome would
project.
that be?
I like, and
Because
I don't want it to be just like textbook. Like, if you're going to learn about measurements, like we're going to have a fashion show. We're going to have like, we're going to understand the math behind that, but then doing it as well. So I'm
yes.
super excited about
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
that.
I
Yes, thank
love that
you.
idea. It's like I went to listen, I feel like I'm a jack of all trades because I went to culinary school. I love cooking. So then I was thinking like, oh, I could like, I love cooking. I mean, I
Mm.
love cooking. And I was like, oh well, I like to do events, so maybe I can put and I'm like, slow it down. Hold on a second. That's a little, like you said, that's a little overwhelming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I went to culinary school, when I was growing up, I didn't really like, I always loved cooking, but you didn't think about that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It was
Mm.
just more like my sister was like, what are you gonna be doing? You're gonna like be cooking at McDonald's or something? Are you gonna flip burgers here? And I was like, no, I'm talking about gourmet food or whatever, but it wasn't, the culinary world wasn't really looked at like that, I guess.
Right.
And I think possibly, I'm not saying all the time, but maybe in my culture, in the Caribbean culture, it was more like we cook all the time, so it's like, what's the big deal, you know what I mean? But when I went to culinary school, it was like,
Wow.
oh, all this, like I felt like I belonged, like I could watch those cooking shows forever. I could watch,
Mm.
design shows forever. But going into the school and just like see, I was like, I'm not a weirdo. Like
Yeah.
there are places for
There's people
people
like
like
me.
me. So a school being able, and especially now that schools are so like you said, so robotic, you have to learn this. It's not, we don't have any like skills that the kids don't have an opportunity to just like like be imaginary, to just let
Mhm.
their creative juices flow, because everything is so cookie cutter that they
Yeah.
have to have this and this and this. So that's an amazing idea. I wish you so much
Thank
success with that.
you. Thank you. Yes, that's where my heart is. That's why I'm building a business. And you can do both, right? Too. And just to kind of advise you too, is just like you can have a life map where, hey, I want to accomplish this, I want to accomplish this, but then what is the first step, right? That's the action. Like, what is one small step I can take towards that overall goal? And there's power in writing it down, right? I've never written my life in the sense of where I wanted to go. These were just ideas I came up with within the past year, but I always went back to like I want to open a school. That's always been, and I don't want to do it for profit, right? This is not something. I just want to give opportunities for teachers and students to be in an environment that's safe, but it's also innovative, it's versatile. It's like we're going to talk about, like getting into the mindset, meditation, understanding your own anger, your own doubts, right? Understanding you, and then expanding on where you want to go, right? Because the worst part of what I did was leaving the classroom, knowing that the students that I was leaving were going to continue to be served in the way that I didn't agree with. So I made it like when I made the choice to leave the classroom, I said, technically speaking, I'm going to be back, right? I'm going to create a space for these kids because they deserve it. And other people before me have done it. There are schools all over the country that have done this model that I want to bring into Central Florida, right? And wherever it goes, like wherever it goes, if it could be like a franchise of these schools, essentially, like, but I want them to have a space where money is not an issue to get a high quality education from high quality teachers who love what they do. Because I have so many friends in this industry that are leaving because of the
Because
systematic, systems that are going on in the education world. It's unfortunate, but that's the one thing I want to leave behind. Like, if I don't leave anything else, like I could have all the success in the world, but my success is like when I finally built that school, oh my goodness, like
everything
I did
else
it.
is just,
Yeah, everything else doesn't even matter. Like
yeah.
that's what I was designing my business for, is to help funnel money into my world so now I can create this school for so many kids and so many teachers.
That kind of reminds me of like those specialty school, or I don't know if they call them charter schools for
Mhm.
different aspects of education, like STEM. I remember my friend was able to get her son into, and I don't know, I think it was like a, I don't want to say it was a K through 12, but it was, I think, a junior high school to high school, right?
Mhm.
And it was focused on kids that learned, well, not kids that learned differently, because I don't want to say that, but it was just focused on that kind of like, more that STEM mentality, the engineering, the math, the way that they learn, because kids learn differently, right? So the school and the teachers and their curriculum was completely different
Mhm.
from like the regular school. And when you go in there and you see the different classrooms and I was like, wow, so it kind of caters specifically to them. And that was really interesting, and it was really cool to see, because sometimes kids will get lost
Yeah.
because they don't, either the teacher doesn't understand, or like I said, every kid learns differently, so you can't put all the kids together. And now, they don't have classes that allow you to express yourself as an individual.
Right.
Now everything is so like together that kids are growing up without, like, you ask them, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know, I guess I got to finish school, like, for the until 12th grade, but they have no desire in anything. So it's just like,
No.
so how are we educating our kids to be productive members of society, of doing something that they truly love and they want to do? And
Yeah.
that's a great way to do that. So I
Thank
look forward to
you.
that.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as your responsibilities, which I know that there are a lot, what do you feel are your responsibilities as an entrepreneur and a business owner?
So, when it comes to responsibilities, are you saying like to the world,
I
or
love
like
your
my
thinking.
business?
I love it. I
Like I
love
can
it.
go real wide, or I can
Yes.
stay as
Let
narrow as possible.
yes, let's start.
with the
With just
responsibilities in the
yes,
business.
yes.
Okay. I was say I can say the responsibilities I have to the world
No,
and
I would love that too, but
right.
let's start with that first.
Okay. So when it comes to responsibilities, in my business, right? I'm responsible for everything and anything that I do and contribute to my business. The one thing I will say is that momentum is created by you, especially in the beginning, right? So whatever you do when it comes down to the tasks in your business, helps to move the business forward in getting clients. So what some things that I've done is understanding between being productive and busy versus doing a task that's generating sales. Because we'll think we're doing a good job in business, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm not getting clients, right? Another thing is understanding too that business is has to make money. So you have to be comfortable with asking for the sale, right? A lot of us, especially what I notice about women entrepreneurs, is that we tend to love what we do so much that we don't allow ourselves to, ask for the sale or think we're worthy of that money. Another responsibility is to understand your worth, right? Despite what other people are charging, doesn't mean that you should be charging the same way, because you don't know what they're going through or where their mindset is versus where you want to be. I've seen people who are better balloon artists than I will ever be, right? In the sense of right now, and they're charging under my starting fee. So it's interesting to see that because it's just like I see their worth and they're double than what they're making right now or charging. When I do, I'm able to find the prices. So it's understanding like someone could be really good at what they do, but don't compare yours to them because they might be getting clients undercharging their worth, right? Versus you who are at your worth and you have a little resistance and understanding. Another responsibility when it comes down to my business is to understand like if you don't make any movements, your business will not grow. So for me, it's like showing up on social media, going into the community, speaking to the people like, hey, I have a business, leaving my business cards everywhere I go, right? These are the things that help generate sales into your business. So that way you're able to then, make money, right? Because that's what a business is. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. And we have to be clear like, you could be passionate about a business, but it's not a hobby. A business has to make money. So leaving my 9 to 5 job, I understand that now more than ever because like I don't have time to sit here and be, oh no. Like when you have another income, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, right? But it's like I don't have time. I have to generate money. I have to put myself out there. I can't even feel the fears of being uncomfortable. Like I have to pay bills. I have a rent. I have car payments. Like I have to pay myself. I have to eat. Like these are the things that come in. And I don't have kids. So if I had kids, I'll be going even harder, right? Because now it's double everything and triple everything. So understanding that the responsibilities in your business have to be like you can just be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable and knowing that if you're not in danger, right? Recognizing that that fear is just keeping you stuck versus just moving forward. So I guess it's a little abstract when it comes to responsibilities. But I think that's what helped me get clients is, recognizing and identifying like, okay, is this going to make me money or is this just going to keep me busy? And once you understand both, like, and most of the time we'll do the busy work because it's comfortable. It's easy. It's easy to do a post, right? But it's hard to talk about your business to a client. It's easy to share your designs, but it's hard to jump on a call and sell and ask for the payment, right? These are the things that you have to recognize. Like, okay, yes, you have to do these things, but these are the most important things that will drive revenue in your business.
Okay. I can see all that.
Mhm.
Um, to what do you attribute your success?
What do I attribute to my success? So it's funny because I think success is subjective. People may look at me and think I'm successful, and I'm just like, I'm nowhere near because my big goals haven't been accomplished. But I will answer that to where I am now, right? Because there is something to celebrate. What attributes to my success? The biggest contributor is having a support system. One, having a husband, even boyfriend back then, right? We weren't even married. For him to support my dream wholeheartedly and to hold me accountable to that dream, even when I lose focus, has been the game changer of keeping myself motivated. Two, mentors. Having a mentor. So my mentors, I can still talk to this day. As they grow, I grow, but I'm able to then reach out and, talk to them because they've been where you've been. And that's the one thing I've learned. Get with someone who already done it because they will save you a lot of headache and time. Also, they'll affirm that, what you're going through is something they've been through as well. Another contributor to success is learning, right? Always constantly learning when it comes down to whether you're investing in your creative skill, getting in a business course, taking classes, right? You're always constantly willing to learn, which as a teacher, students should be constantly life learners. So I'm constantly reading books, hearing podcasts. And then the last thing that contributes to success is moving with the times. A lot of times people are like, oh, I don't, especially with content, I don't make videos, I don't do well. It's not about what you have done, right? Because what you've done in the past worked then. It's not what works now. And whereas we progress forward, technology is quicker than ever. And if you're not keeping up with those times and molding your business to keep up with that, you will crumble. Like my husband's old job, he wouldn't do social media. And now he doesn't have a business at all because he wouldn't stay with the times because he was like, oh, they used to post in the newspaper. Newspapers is not, it's a luxury, like that paper magazine is for like luxury clients, essentially. Like that's what I heard on a podcast. But content creation, video is something that's now important for business. And if you don't understand that, then you'll be passed. Like everybody will pass you because if you're not
Yeah.
on that trend, you won't succeed. So those are the contributing things, just a support system, continuously learning, mentors, and staying with the times when it comes down to your business seems to be contributing to my success and always evolving as well.
You're great.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Um, have you ever turned down a client?
Oh, yes. I can actually talk about one scenario if you wanted me to.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so when I first left my job, right? So the year 2020, I pivoted my business to go from a balloon stylist to coaching because I wanted to teach so bad, and we were locked down. So I was like, yes, now I get to teach. So for 20, so I stopped doing balloons for about a year in the sense of business wise. But once I left my job last year, I had to go relaunch it. So I was in the middle of relaunching and I was getting some clients. Now I know this is part of the journey, right? When you claim something, you're going to get things that no longer serve you because that was the old you. So you have to be clear with where you're going. So I knew that I could not take a client then less than my starting point. So I was like, all right. So then a client comes in with an offer less than my starting point in the location that's pretty low income as well. So that was also a red flag in the sense of where understanding, like, I'm not saying low income environments won't pay because they will, but it's just something to consider when someone comes your way. So she was like, hi there, I would love to do like a Mickey Mouse. So it was like a Mickey Mouse stand, but it was like out of balloons. So the structure was out of balloons. It wasn't like a foil balloon. So I was like, yeah, we could do that for sure. That's easy. Like I even looked up a few videos. I was like, that's awesome. She's like, well, have you done it before? And I was like, no, but this is something that we can do. Like it's not something that's hard. She's like, well, can you create it and then send me a picture? So it's almost like someone who's doubting your work before you even do it. Where I get clients that don't even question, right? They trust it automatically. So I said, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to create a mock setup that I'm not getting paid for without a deposit. That's just me, right? I'm not doing work for free because you don't go to your job, do work for free, and then hopefully you hope that you get paid, right?
Right.
No, you go in because you know you're going to get paid. So I treat my business as such. So then she was just like, well, I don't know if, I don't know about, hiring you because you've never done this. I was just like, so then I told her, I was just like, ma'am, I understand you may not feel comfortable. All of our clients come into our business, and I always use the we and our to, speak it to existence. I was like, we understand, but all of our clients see our work. We have a website, we have social media. We have proof of what we've done in the past. So it's not a skill, and we would never take on a job that we can't do. If you don't feel comfortable, right? We understand that. So she just kept questioning it. And so then at that point, I was just like, due to what you want, and we don't like to take on clients who don't trust our work, and I don't want you to feel taken advantage of with the money. We're just gonna go our separate ways, and we wish you the best. Because one, the biggest lesson is just like understanding, like, there are clients out there who are willing to pay, right? I've been with clients who will be like chasing me down and making sure they give the deposit because they want to book my services, versus spending time with someone who's just like completely questioning myself. And I'm like, why am I even bothering putting energy into that? It's only going to be a headache in the long run, right? Because the people who have the most to say, who are questioning everything, will be the toughest, unchallenging clients you ever had. They're nightmare clients at that point. So I always tell, like, a lesson learned is just like focus on dream, right? What does a dream client look like, sound like, feel like? What do they make you feel? And serve those people, because there's a lot of people out there who love what I do, who never question what I do and know my capability, versus someone who's asking not only for a lower price, but then questioning what I can do and my capabilities. So understanding, like, there's little red flags that are said throughout the conversation. And when you recognize them, just pull out. Because if you're like getting a headache prior to getting the money, it's only going to be worse when you get the money. And I've been there before too. So that's my
That's
tough lesson.
that sounds like it.
Right.
Um, okay, I know that you had answered this question um in our email, but now that I kind of have more of a I guess I've picked your brain a little bit more. I feel like the question just seems a little bit more in depth, but and to close out, to find out what would be your ultimate goal advice, even though, yes, to find out what it is that you like to do, focus on your dream, but what would be the ultimate like golden nugget that you feel that going into this kind of a business 4 years ago when you were teaching, that someone would have told you and you kind of held on to that and made sure that that was part of what you looked at and stayed with throughout your time, and when you're not when you're successful, but as your success grows,
Mhm.
that it still sticks with you.
So mm, the um, the one thing you will, like, if I was talking to my old self, right? The one thing I will say is, like, there are going to be some of the darkest times that you go through. Because when you first get started, you're changing into someone who is no longer going to be needed. Like, who you are today is not going to be who you are tomorrow. Now, a lot of people think that, that's very vague, but I will say this: when it comes to understanding, like, the dark side of being an entrepreneur, and understanding that everybody goes through it too, makes it a lot easier for you to get with people. All right, let me change. Let me start over. So knowing that your fears will come up, right? And knowing that who you are now is not who you're going to be. Therefore, you're going to go through some challenges in the sense of doubting, imposter syndrome, fear, worry. Like, all the things are such low vibrations that you have to let go of in order to proceed into your success. The easiest way to now overcome that is to be in a community of people who are going through the same thing. That's the one thing I didn't do when I was young, when I first started, is joining like, evolving myself with other people or entrepreneurs who are going through the same thing. The one thing I did have an advantage is that my husband was going through it first. So he was already starting his business. Um, but being in a community, being with a mentor, being with someone who has done or is going through similar things and is looking to uplift you, looking to push you, looking for your progression in success, these are the people you want to completely evolve and be in a community with, right? It's not a venting session, right? That's the one thing I do avoid, because some people in this community or in this business will complain, 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 right? And that's not raising your vibration. So to understand that when it comes to dark times, right? When you're doing it alone, it will be the most challenging. But when you have a community of people that you join, whether it's a Facebook group, a mentor, a coach, a community, people within your local area who have a similar business, right? When you're with those people, it makes the journey less scary and it makes the journey a lot more um I don't know, like just community and collaboration makes all the difference versus being a solopreneur. You know, a lot of that's why I created My Inspiring Designs as a YouTube platform because I wanted to create a community for people to understand, like, you know, everybody's showing me the tutorials, but I want to show behind the scenes, right? Everyone's sitting here telling you now pricing, but I want to tell you what happens with your mindset when it comes to selling your worth. Like these are the things I want to do, the things that are like an unspoken in the industry, right? No, when I first started, nobody was looking to help anybody. And my mentor wanted to change that in the wedding space. And now I wanted to change that in the event space because I feel like when we are able to help and uplift each other, it raises the natural like collective in the spiritual world, right? It raises that vibration with everyone. People in the balloon industry, like specifically, it's wild to me that we can charge what we charge now, right? Because there are people in our industry who are literally paving that way. So for the advice of people just getting started, it's just like, just know you're not alone with this, right? It's like almost when you go to a marriage counseling group and you're like, oh my God, all they do is this. Like you think your problems are just for yourself and they're not, right? Almost everyone who's married goes through similar things. Same thing with business. Everyone who starts a business, it don't matter what type of business, they go through the similar things, which is why there's power into building a community so that way you're able to then push past because it's going to be dark, right? It's not, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but if you have people who are pulling you out, it'll make it a lot quicker to get yourself out of your own darkness and then straight into that success and comfortability. I've seen it happen with a lot of people, and community makes all the difference versus being alone in
I agree with that so much. And that's what
it.
drew me to you was not only just seeing your talent and seeing what you do, but it was just being able to kind of identify with us on the
Mhm.
other side and so many different because there may be someone that is an event designer, there may be someone that is a florist, there may be someone, but just collectively in that business to be able to just know that some of the things that we think about,
Yeah.
it's not, you're not by yourself. So I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I love the fact that you opened up that space to be able to, you know, allow us to kind of get into your world and into
Mm.
your head and be able to be like, oh, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking that I'm charging Titi Helen, blah, 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 and I'm undercharging, but it's like, you know, because you start thinking, well, you know, that's what you're supposed to do because you're starting
Mhm.
out. And then when does that starting out finish? You know, like, because then I think that you're always gonna, and that's just that one aspect. Then you start thinking
Yeah.
like, well, am I worth that? Like what? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to think about the things that, you know, my friends tell me. They're like, listen, I get it, you haven't been in the event business, but you've done a lot of other things, you've done a lot of political events, you've been behind the scenes doing this and that. This is just another branch of it, and people know you for being in the community and doing those things. So understand that maybe, you know, Sarah doesn't know you, but you have to allow her to get to know you. So I think that's probably one of the things for me that, you know, and I'm sure that it's just not this the same for a lot of people, that is just questioning. I know
Mhm.
that this is what I want to do because I love helping people. I love someone telling me this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. When I get someone that tells me like, I want to do this, my brain just goes, and I'm sending them pictures. And then, but see, then I overwhelm myself. So I have to learn how to scale it down, you know?
Mhm.
But that just makes me confident to know that I am where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Maybe you know, getting an event management degree, and starting my event business. I mean, you're right. Maybe, I don't know. It's because an event management degree, hello,
Mhm.
will give you, did it, I think it cut off. Do you
It
see
did?
me?
Yeah. It still says it's recording too.
Oh, I don't
You
see
can't
you.
see me?
No, I can't.
What?
No, I can't.
What happened? Can you press the Zoom thing again?
It says it's no, because it's asking me for like the Zoom app or something. I don't even know. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Hello?
Okay, and
Okay.
minimize.
Yes, that's what it was. So the thing is that maybe this is, and not to say that this is not for me because I know that is, but there's just so many things, that I can possibly do. So I appreciate you once again,
Yay.
for, listen, this is just for school, but I will be reaching out, to, get into other, I know that your time is money and I know that your time is important. I
Thank
get
you.
all that, and I know, but I would love to, just be in your space, just to
Mm,
kind of like absorb of that, all of that. And you talking, you letting me know about mentorship. Um I don't know too many people on a one-on-one like that to kind of ask those questions, or to be, to have any kind of mentorship or anything like that, because I just don't.
right.
I don't, and I hope to be one of your students, to kind of learn from you and pick your brain and be able to kind of grow from your little nuggets of knowledge
Of
that you
course.
that you give us. So
Yeah, let me know. Just DM me or email me, whatever you feel. I have a couple of options that we can go over, and so that way you can create a community of people. Because I think that's the most important, right? And I show up for my designers too, in my coaching programs too. So, and I still do the balloon business, right? So, wherever you desire, we can always jump on a call again and talk about if you need more help, or whenever you have the time, if you want to finish school and then do it, that's fine too with me. I'm in no rush. I'm still here. As long as I'm still here breathing, I'm fine.
yeah, I do stuff. I have my little office here filled with things. I have a party that I'm doing in May. So it's kind of like I have like a little inventory, but then I have stuff, and it sometimes it just gets to be like, now that I'm listening to you, and I'm like, wow, it is a lot of like, I've always been that way though, kind of
Yeah.
to kind of, I don't want to minimize my vision, but, and I'm really good at organization, and I'm a little OCD when it comes to stuff like that. But
Mhm.
maybe to be able to figure out my niche, you really have me thinking now, to be able to
Mhm.
kind of, you know, see what direction that's going to go, because it is a lot, and
Yeah, it's a
I'm
lot.
assuming and thinking, well, yeah, I'll just do the event thing, and then like I have a vendor list and all this stuff, and I'm just like, I can do that, but I definitely understand and see where you're coming from with that. So
And if you needed help, right, ask the people who love and support you, and just ask them like, what do you love that I do when it comes to events? Like, what's your favorite thing that I do? And hear it from an outsider in, right?
doing it.
Yeah, and in essence, but like be specific. Like, what do they always think of you when they think of an event? What do they think of you when it comes down to that?
Okay.
That's what helped with me. So I started doing balloons just because like I was known for organization, right? And people always came for me to organize things, but it's not something I was truly passionate of. Balloons just all of a sudden just became like, I was like, oh, every single time I do one, it's very different. And the techniques change and everything evolves. Like, make a business of something you enjoy, because then when it does get challenging, you're still going to do it anyways because you still like to do it, right?
Okay.
So if you're organized, think of your strengths, and then ask the people around you, what are your strengths when it comes to events, and match, and then see what are people you already known to be, right? Oh my God, I always come to you about this, versus what you thought you're strong at, and people technically might not know that exists. It's something we call market research in my group coaching, because you want to get to know what other people think, and then come to a conclusion in the sense of, okay, this is what I'm going to do. because it's something that people tend to do. One, it's always a skill that you take for granted that you don't realize you can do well and people can't. And then two, people are willing to pay for it.
Okay.
So always go down those three things. And I would say that's my homework for you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
A
gonna
girl
put you
after
on
listen, we understand each other because
homework.
I'm a veteran as well, so I take, like I
Mhm.
am just like okay, so what do you need me to do? Follow
Very
through.
task driven,
Yes,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
very task driven. So when you said that's your homework, I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what I have to
Okay.
do. Boom.
There.
Now I'm good. But yes, I appreciate you, Justine, so much. I thank you. I wish you nothing but success in your business. I can't wait to
Aw.
just be a part of your world and your bubble, and be able to just learn, create, and just educate myself on everything that you have to offer us and be able to move forward from there. So I appreciate you so much.
Yay, no problem. I'm so glad I jumped on this call with you. I enjoyed your time. Thank you for serving our country. And whenever you have any other questions, feel free to email or DM.
Okay.
I'm very, people like, no, people say, no, I'm serious. Like, DM or email me. If the email is what I see first,
Okay.
versus a DM. So I wishing you all the best. And if you have any questions, I'll be that community for you,
Thank you so
as you
much.
expand. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And those caramel macchiatos that
Yeah.
you do, girl. Oh,
see, see, the Inspo Cafe is coming out. I'm telling
yes.
you, it's
I mean,
gonna come.
that's when you said that, I was like, oh yes, I saw the ice,
Yeah, you're just like,
the drizzle, the the whipped cream. I was like,
mm,
does she have Starbucks in her house?
nah,
Yes,
I'm
it
taking
was
this
really
thing serious. See,
the
I'm
little
with the
the
small piece.
glass or the plastic
Yeah.
straw. Yeah, all those girl, I look at those little details. I love it. It was good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you,
All right.
honey.
Have a good one.
Bye.